I just got off a call with the real estate investor named Asaf. He owns 100 properties in Albany. He's been renting to college students for 25 years. He runs construction, maintenance, property management, acquisitions, and hard money lending. His wife runs 25 Airbnbs, and he refs college and high school basketball on the side. And at one point in the call, he said something that stopped me in my tracks. He said, "I'm a shark in a pond." And I'm guessing you know exactly what that means. You're dominating your local market. You're the go-to person in your city, your niche, your industry. But you look at the bigger players, the national names, the people with 150 employees and $7 billion in real estate, and you think, maybe I'm not enough. But here's the thing, that's not your problem. That's your $2 bill. And today I'm going to show you why being the shark in the pond is exactly where you want to be. Yesterday we talked about owning your difference, and today we're talking about narrowing your difference. Because here's what happens to most entrepreneurs. You start to grow, you start to succeed, and then you look around and you see people who are bigger, who have more, who are doing it at a national or global scale. And you think, well, maybe I should expand. Maybe I should go to New York City. Maybe I should compete in the ocean. That's a trap. For 22 years in Hollywood, I worked on shows like Dynasty, Intervention, and 60 Days In. And you know what made those shows successful? They didn't try to be everything to everyone. They narrowed their focus. Dynasty, it wasn't a show for everyone, but it was a show for people who loved family, who loved faith, and those that loved duck hunting. 60 Days In wasn't a show for everyone, but it was a show for people who wanted to see what really happens inside a jail. That's the power of narrowing your focus. You don't need to be the biggest. You don't need to be the best. You just need to be the only in your pond. So let me tell you about Asaf. He owns 100 properties in Albany. He's been renting to college students for 25 years. He knows how to turn a 5-bedroom house into 5 $500 a month rooms that students actually want to live in. Guess what? He's crushing it. But here's what he told me on the call. He said, "I went to New York City last Wednesday. I met with a college buddy of mine who's a huge New York City landlord. Walk into his office, Park Avenue and 30th Street, Manhattan, and he's got 150 people working for him. Young, professional people. They're probably making $150,000 to $250,000 a year minimum." And he said, "I thought he had like $1 billion in real estate." Well, he's got 7 billion. And then he told me this, "My doing well is small compared to him doing well. I'm a shark in a pond, whereas in New York City, you could be a shark, but you're a shark in the ocean. If you're in a pond, you're the king of the world. You can eat whatever you want. But when you're in the ocean, just because you're a shark, there's a million other sharks out there." And then he said, "When I'm in Albany, I feel like a shark, like I'm the man. When I go to New York City, I feel like a little peon." And I stopped him right there. I said, "Stop." I said, "Stop, stop, stop. Do you want to be a New York City shark in the ocean? Or do you like being the shark in the pond?" And he paused. And then he said, "I don't know. I think I like being the shark in the pond, but I feel like I should want to be in the ocean." That right there is the trap. You feel like you should want to be bigger. You feel like you should want to expand. You feel like you should want to compete at a national level, but But being the shark in the pond, that's $2 bill. That's the $2 bill thinking right there. See, in the ocean, you're competing with a million other sharks. You're fighting for scraps. You're trying to survive. But in the pond, you're the king. You set the rules. You own the market. You're the only. And that's exactly where Asaf is. He's the only real estate investor at Albany who's been renting to college students for 25 years, owns 100 properties, and knows how to turn a 5-bedroom house into 500 a month rooms. Is there anybody that can compete with that in Albany? So this is the second letter in the O.N.L.Y framework. N, narrow your focus. Most people think they need to expand to grow. But the opposite is true. The more you narrow your focus, the more powerful you become. He doesn't need to go to New York City. He doesn't need to compete with the $7 billion landlord. He just needs to own Albany. You don't need to go national. You don't need to compete with the big players. You just need to own your pond. So here's the question I want you to ask yourself. What's your pond? Is it a geographic market, like Albany? Is it a specific niche, like student housing? Is it a specific type of client, like middle-class college students? Because when you narrow your focus, you stop competing. You start dominating. When you do that, that's when you become the only. So at the end of the call with Asaf, he said something that stuck with me. He said, I don't value enough who I am. Listen to too many people. And I think that's true for a lot of us. We look at the bigger players, national names, people with 150 employees and $7 billion in real estate, and we think, maybe, just maybe, I'm not enough. But I'm telling you, you are enough. You don't need to be the biggest. You just need to be the only in your pond. And look, if you're watching this and you're thinking, that's great, but I don't even know what my pond is, that's okay. Because most people, they don't. And that's why I created the O.N.L.Y statement generator. It's 8 questions that help you uncover your pond. 8 questions, 8 minutes. Go to findyouronly.app. That's findyouronly.app. Answer 8 questions, and you'll get your O.N.L.Y statement. Findyouronly.app. It's free. It takes 8 minutes, and it will change how you see yourself. Go to findyouronly.app. And tomorrow, I'm going to show you the third letter in the O.N.L.Y framework. We got the O, we got the N. What's the L? Lead with your unique story. I'm going to tell you about a guy who said, don't monetize your passion, and how that one sentence changed everything for him. But you got to come back tomorrow to hear that story. But for now, where do you go? Findyouronly.app. Answer 8 questions and discover your O.N.L.Y statement. And remember, you don't need to be the shark in the ocean. You just need to be the shark in the pond. Be the O.N.L.Y. Be the $2 bill.